Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 15 of the Lose It podcast. This podcast is tailor-made for those of you with weight to lose, those of you that are losing weight now, and those of you that are bathing in the success of your weight loss achievements. If it's your first time on the podcast, really appreciate you being here. I'm your host, Nick Geoppo, and 5 years ago, I lost 110 pounds and kept it off after a lifetime of gaining and losing weight. I've since committed my life to helping people just like you learn from my story and learn the lessons that I had to learn the hard way without having to go through it quite the same way that I did. If it's your first time on the podcast, I'm sure you'll find it to be very useful. And if you're a regular listener, I would really greatly appreciate it if you would go and leave an honest review, either on Spotify or on Apple. It would go a long way in helping other people to find the podcast and to find some value in it, hopefully the same way that you have as well. I've had a lot of people reaching out to me recently about sugar and people that are struggling with sugar addiction and feel like sugar is the thing that they are binging on and it's the thing that's preventing them from losing weight. I relate to this a lot. Sugar was the main reason that I was fat. Outside of Red Robin, which really fucked me up. I used to eat Dairy Queen Blizzards every single day. Dairy Queen Blizzards every day. And I did a podcast about sugar where I detailed more of that. But I'm inspired to share more about how I overcame sugar addiction to help people that are struggling with the same thing overcome it, address it, have actionable items actionable steps that they can take in those moments of wanting to eat sugar, and also understanding what exactly sugar addiction is. So I'm hosting a class on Wednesday, April 10th at 7 p.m. CST, Central Standard Time, called Sweet Freedom. The class is called Sweet Freedom. I feel pretty good with that name. It hasn't been announced on Instagram yet, but I'm announcing it here on the podcast first for my regular listeners. So if you're someone that's struggling with sugar addiction, you're somebody that feels that sugar is the thing that is preventing you from losing weight, if sugar is the thing that you binge eat on, if sugar is the thing that you crave or that consumes a lot of space in your mind throughout the day, this class is for you. If you're someone that is stuck in your old ways, if you're someone that doesn't think that eating a ton of sugar is bad for you, or if you're someone that doesn't have an issue with sugar and you feel that you have a healthy relationship with sugar now, then this class is definitely not for you. If you're interested in this class, DM me on Instagram the word class, and I will give you a discount just for listening to the podcast and for supporting us on this platform. Let's get into episode 15. The topic of the podcast today is food swaps. How many times are you scrolling on Instagram and you see these quote-unquote food content creators making your favorite food lower calorie and higher protein? How many times have you seen low calorie, high protein pizza, or low calorie, high protein ice cream, or low calorie, high protein cheeseburgers or chicken strips or whatever it might be? And it's interesting because I don't actually know a lot of people that really make these recipes that we see online. So if you look at how many millions of people are looking at, liking, sharing, commenting on these videos, what percentage of those people are actually taking the actionable step to go buy all of the different ingredients that they need to make this lower calorie breadcrumb that you can put on your chicken strip instead of just eating roasted chicken or baked chicken instead of fried chicken? And it's always been really interesting to me. I've never really made recipes like that. But what I have done and what I did that helped me lose so much fucking weight was just make swaps for things that were lower calorie, but were also easy to eat and easy to prepare or easy to go buy somewhere. This idea of going and buying 10 or 15 different ingredients just to make this unhealthy food a little lower calorie doesn't work for me because I don't have the patience to sit down and go through a full cooking session and learning how to do all this kind of shit. I want to keep it simple. This podcast is for people that want to keep things as simple as possible. Here are the food swaps that I have done some things with. I played with some of these. Some of these have worked for me. Some of these I still do to this day, even though I'm not losing weight anymore and I don't have interest in losing weight anymore or ever again in my life. I am at my current weight to stay for good. Here are the ones that I strongly recommend. The first one is oil. If you're someone that is eating a lot of oil, understand that 1 tablespoon of oil is 120 calories. So if you're someone that is cooking chicken in oil and you just eyeball the oil, you might pour in 2 or 3 tablespoons, or maybe even more, depending on how big your pan is. And a lot of that oil is getting soaked up by the chicken, and you're eating the oil without even counting the calories because you think, oh, I'm just cooking in it. It's actually getting absorbed by the meat. You could add 100 calories to a strip of chicken breast just by cooking it in oil. Same thing goes with vegetables. If you're someone that is sauteing vegetables in oil, here's the number one secret to stir fries or to sauteing vegetables. Cook them in water. Everything that you can cook in oil, you can cook without oil. If you're somebody that sautés vegetables in oil and you like fresh vegetables, let's say broccoli, you can instead just cook those vegetables over steam, or you can air fry them without any oil, or you get frozen vegetables like frozen broccoli or frozen bell peppers and pour them into a pan with nothing in it, and they will saute in their own water as they thaw. They will release water and saute in their own water. Is the flavor as good? No, not. It's not worse, but it's not really quite as good because oil tastes good in our food, right? So there are times where like you're going to have to sacrifice taste and flavor for having a little bit less calorie consumption. Oil is a really rough one because it doesn't make you feel full. So if you're having 2 tablespoons of oil for 240 calories, imagine what 240 calories of meat looks like, or fruit looks like, or some other dense food that's going to make you feel full looks like, and imagine eating that instead of eating the oil. Imagine how much more chicken or rice or fruit or vegetables or yogurt or whatever it is that you're eating, or protein that you can throw onto your plate if you're just not cooking in oil. So if you want to lose weight, oil's not something that you should be eating on a daily basis, especially not with every meal, because it's really calorically dense. So you're eating calories for basically no nutritional value and no fullness. Now, this really pertains to people that are cooking from home. When I was fat as fuck, my problem was I didn't cook. I just ate out a lot. So if you're eating out, there's virtually nothing you can do to avoid oil unless you're going to really specific places and getting really specific meals, like going to a steakhouse and eating at a steakhouse that only prepares their chicken a certain kind of way. But mostly every single place, especially fast food places, are cooking in some sort of oil or butter. Now, these foods are not necessarily unhealthy. I now eat butter or ghee every single day, and it's a single ingredient, healthy food that's really rich in nutrients and vitamins that are hard to get in other parts of the diet. So it's not that these foods are bad, it's just that they are bad for weight loss. It's just harder to lose weight because they're calorically dense and don't make you feel full. So don't be afraid of oil, don't be afraid of butter, but be aware that you can cut out a lot of calories by just swapping oil for water 1 time per day. The second one is ice cream. I told you earlier that sugar was the number one thing that kept me fat for so long and made me keep gaining weight back. Ice cream is one where you can definitely switch to low-calorie alternatives pretty easily. You know, you got a pint of Ben & Jerry's, has like 1,200 calories. A pint of Halo Top or other low-calorie, high-protein ice cream might have 300 calories in it. And then you've got, the real ice cream, quote-unquote real ice cream, which for me is just Greek yogurt with berries, with honey, maybe with a little bit of protein powder, with some cacao powder, maybe some organic maple syrup. Ben & Jerry's has got 1,200 calories. We know that it's bad for us because it's packed with cane sugar. Halo Top or other alternatives have about 300 calories and like 20 grams of protein, so much better for you and really good for weight loss. If you're someone that's really struggling with ice cream cravings, that's a great low-calorie, high-protein alternative. It's going to cost you like $5 for a pint of it at the grocery store, depending on where you go. But when I say real food, real ice cream, what I mean is Greek yogurt bowls. Those foods are not quote-unquote real. When you look at the ingredients, there's like 20 to 30 ingredients in that ice cream. When I make ice cream at home, I make it with all single ingredient foods. Greek yogurt, 1 ingredient. Cacao powder, single ingredient. Blueberries and raspberries are single ingredient foods. I'm not mixing in any chemicals. I'm not adding any fake sugar. I'm adding sugar in a real form, in the form of honey or in the form of organic maple syrup. It's not processed. So anytime you can get to realer foods, it's typically going to be lower calorie. But it's interesting, right? And I've talked about this in other episodes. What's better for weight loss? A 300-calorie pint of low-calorie ice cream or a 400-calorie homemade Greek yogurt bowl? Technically, you're going to lose more weight if you eat the lower calorie option, which is, the low calorie pints of ice cream that you bought from the grocery store. But the sustainable way to eat and the way that's going to make you feel better is eating the Greek yogurt bowl. So I lean towards real foods, real ingredients whenever I can. And I strongly recommend switching from Ben & Jerry's to either low calorie pints or homemade ice cream with Greek yogurt. That will save you a ton of calories. There's certain foods where they just really shouldn't be a part of your everyday diet if you're trying to lose weight. It doesn't mean that you have to be afraid of them. It doesn't mean that you need to avoid them. But oil's one of them, and ice cream, the way that we all love it, is the second one, unfortunately. The third one is soda. Now, we all know this, but we still do it. Anytime that you're drinking a Coca-Cola, you're getting, a couple hundred calories, plus a ton of sugar that might be making you feel like shit, plus you're still hungry afterwards. You drink 10 sodas and still be hungry, 10 Cokes, 10 Pepsis. You really shouldn't be drinking any calories. And I preach that you should never be afraid of food. But that doesn't mean that there's certain foods that you just say, I'm never going to eat or ever drink again. I have not had Coca-Cola or Pepsi in over a year. Not one fucking glass of it, not one can of it, not one bottle of it. It's okay to just say sometimes that food is just done with my diet because it's total horseshit. And if you're to do that with one thing, let it be Coca-Cola or Pepsi or other sugary sodas like that. There's just no place for them in your diet. That doesn't mean you can't ever have one. I just don't drink them because I know how horseshit they are. And once you really go down the rabbit hole of researching what is in these foods, it becomes harder to eat them because you start feeling gross when you eat gross ingredients all the time. That's not to say that I won't ever have soda again. There's still foods that I don't eat a lot of that I eat pretty regularly, like pizza. Like if I'm out with friends and everybody wants to get pizza, I'll go to the pizza place and get 1 or 2 slices of pizza. But I'm not going to go to the pizza place and get 1 or 2 slices of pizza and a Coca-Cola. This is how I look at it. To go to a pizza place and say, sorry guys, I don't eat that shitty food because I'm trying to take care of myself and because I'm on a diet, is making food control your life. Because now you're the weird person that's like, oh, I'm not going to eat. Or you just end up not going to the pizza place, so you miss out on socialization with your friends, right? That can sometimes be negative, and that can sometimes be you having an unhealthy relationship with food. So go eat a piece of pizza and sit with it and understand that you can just have 1 or 2 pieces without eating a whole pizza. And you can sit with the discomfort. You can talk to your friends about it and hold yourself accountable and have them hold you accountable. But when it comes to soda, that's one where you never have to drink soda to be in a social situation. Your friends are never going to be like, let's go out and get a Coca-Cola. Get a fucking water. Get a fucking soda water. You don't have to drink the Coca-Cola. Get a piece of pizza and drink some water. You're going to save hundreds of calories. There's people that are drinking 10 Cokes a day, which is a whole nother conversation. That's extreme. But even if you're someone that's having 2 or 3 Cokes or Pepsis per week, understand that you can cut out 500 calories or more per week, which is a couple thousand calories per month. You can cut out an entire day's worth of calories over the course of a few weeks or a month if you just stop drinking Coke or Pepsi. And substitute it for either seltzer water, soda water, and squeeze a lime in there. I live in Texas. We've got these bottled seltzer waters called Topo Chicos. You just take one of those and stick a lime in there, and it definitely does it for me. The next one is any kind of dipping sauces that are high in calorie. The one that always fucked me up was ranch. I grew up in a ranch household. We dipped everything in ranch. Every time that we went out to eat, it was always ranch. Pizza in ranch, French fries in ranch, chicken strips in ranch, cheeseburgers in ranch, hot dogs and corn dogs in ranch. Literally everything in ranch that is savory or salty, I like ranch on it. Ranch is one that is so calorically dense, mostly because its main ingredient has a lot of oil in it, and it's got a lot of other calorically dense foods. Ranch is one that you can just get away with saying I'm never eating. The same way with soda. There's just not really a place for it. And it's one that's really tough to have balance with, the same way that soda is. The idea of just going and having a couple dips of ranch that might be 50 calories is it's just not really going to happen. I'm going to keep dipping in the ranch until the fucking food's gone. I'm not dipping 3 or 4 bites of this food in the ranch and then stopping. I'm dousing that shit in ranch. I know that in myself, so ranch just isn't something that I eat. But it's something that you might be able to have balance with it's just a pain in the ass for me, and I'm better off not using ranch. I don't use a lot of sauces, but when I do, I like ketchup or mustard or salsa or hot sauce or any kind of hot salsa, any kind of Tabasco. Anything of that nature is going to have about 10% the calories that ranch has in it. So a great food swap for you and a great rule to follow is whenever you can, substitute ranch for hot sauce, salsa, ketchup, mustard, or something else like sriracha, something of that nature. There's not really a place for ranch when it comes to losing weight because it's so fucking calorically dense, but goddamn is it good. You can also make lower calorie versions of ranch. I just don't like preparing things just because they're low calorie. I think that it's just a pain in the ass to go buy the dill and buy all the 5 or 6 different low calorie ranch ingredients that I need to then make ranch to have it in the fridge and have it go bad in 2 or 3 days anyway. So I don't like that kind of stuff, but if you like preparing food in that way, you can make ranch with Greek yogurt and dill and have it be 10 to 20% of the calories as the ranch that you're getting from the store or any fast food restaurant. When it comes to meat, I eat meat every single day, at least 1 pound of meat. Primarily, I eat red meat in the form of ground beef, or if I'm out at a restaurant, in the form of steak, or chicken sometimes too. When it comes to meat, when it comes to ground beef specifically, you want to eat leaner cuts of meat to lose weight. Now, we all know these things, right? Higher, fattier cuts of meat are higher in calorie. So ribeye has more calorie than New York strip. So if you're at a restaurant to get a steak and you're trying to lose weight, a good swap for a ribeye is a New York strip. You're going to save 20 to 30% of the calories. If you're at home cooking meat, a good swap for the big tube of meat that you're getting from Walmart that's 80%, that might have 350 calories per 4 ounces, swap, or 300 or so, swap to 93 or 96% lean meat. It's not that fat is bad. Fat is not bad. Fat is good for you. And the fat in that meat is good for you too. It's just higher calories. So sometimes you've got to cut things out, even if the things might be good for you, just to make them help you hit your weight loss goals. Because what's going to be better for you is achieving your weight loss goals versus just really loving the flavor of that 80% lean ground beef. So opt for 96% or 93% lean ground beef and let that beef cook itself without oil in the pan. Let that beef cook itself without any oil. Cook it in water. If it starts getting stuck to the pan, put some water on there. Or put just a little tiny bit of butter or a little tiny bit of oil. But be careful with those spray canisters of oil. This is why oil is so bad. You look at the back of those spray canisters and it says there's 0 calories, but it also says there's like 1,000 servings in it. There's not actually 0 calories. They just round down. Can you imagine getting 1,000 meals worth of oil out of that can? More like a month, more like 30. You're probably getting 50 to 100 calories just of oil by spraying that thing for 2 seconds. It says that a serving is a quarter second of spray. How quick is a fucking quarter second of spray? Those oil cans are just as bullshit as just dumping oil in there, and they really should be avoided as much as you can if you're trying to lose weight. It's not that they're bad, it's just that they're not very conducive to eating a lower calorie diet that's going to make you feel full. When it comes to chicken, you do not need to cook chicken in oil either. You could just air fry it. We air fry chicken breast or chicken thighs. Chicken thighs don't have much more calories than chicken breast. Air fry it. Now, this all makes sense, right? If we're eating from home, the food swaps aren't that big of a deal. But what about if we're eating out? What about if I'm at McDonald's? What's my fucking food swap at McDonald's? What if I'm at Chick-fil-A? What's my fucking food swap at Chick-fil-A? Look, I mean, any of these health nuts online are going to tell you to stop fucking eating fast food. But I know firsthand that when you're fat as fuck and you're used to eating a bunch of junk, that's not really how it works. You're not going to go from eating a diet of total bullshit to eating this quote-unquote perfect diet where everything is completely meal prepped down to the fucking gram. It's a process. You got to go through the process of having a horrible diet to having a less horrible diet to a less horrible diet to a kind of bad to kind of good to great to perfect, if that even exists. I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm there yet if there is a perfect diet. But you got to go through the whole process. You can't go from the worst to the best overnight. And part of that process is going to be finding ways to make the foods that you're eating right now a little bit lower calorie. I talk about this all the time. This is the core of the message of the Lose It community, is about how to go from eating a diet of all bullshit to eating a diet of more natural whole foods that help you hit your weight loss goals. The way to start if you're eating out right now is to just swap out your crispy chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A for a grilled one. Swap out your large fry at Chick-fil-A for a medium one. And over the course of a couple weeks, swap out that medium fry for a small one. A couple weeks later, swap out that medium fry for 2 sides of fruit. Over time, swap out that grilled chicken sandwich for the grilled chicken nuggets or the grilled tenders and get 2 servings of them. That's kind of expensive to do at Chick-fil-A, but you get the idea. How are you going to decrease the calories slowly over time? And over time, your palate's also going to adjust. Now, what's better? A crispy chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A dipped in ranch, or a grilled chicken strip or chicken nugget from Chick-fil-A dipped in some low-calorie hot sauce? We all know that the crispy chicken sandwich is better, and it's hard to just go from one to the other. So let yourself have a process of how can I just make this 10% healthier? Go on ChatGPT. If you go online and type in, how can I make my McDonald's Big Mac 10% lower calorie? I'm going to do it right now. How can I make a McDonald's Big Mac 10% lower calories? ChatGPT, remove 1 bun. Use less sauce or no sauce. Choose grilled chicken instead of beef. Skip the cheese or ask for half cheese. That's 5 different things you can do to still get a Big Mac. Getting a Big Mac without one of the buns seems kind of weird, but take the sauce out of the Big Mac. Take the cheese out of the Big Mac. Get grilled chicken on your burger instead of getting a Big Mac. Those things are still going to make you feel full. They might not scratch that itch to get that Big Mac or to get that crispy chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, but over time you'll become more accustomed to it. So just give yourself a couple weeks, make small changes, and the weight is going to just fly off of you. If you eat a Big Mac and a large fry every single day for dinner, and instead you get a grilled chicken sandwich and a medium fry every day for dinner, just for the next 2 weeks, and everything else throughout the day stays the same, you do the same breakfast and lunch, and you move the same amount, you're going to drop weight so much faster than you think for doing almost nothing. And that's the idea of food swaps. What doesn't work is, let me go make this low-calorie, high-protein pizza dough that's going to take me 2 hours, and I got to go buy 15 ingredients. No, take the foods that you're eating now and make them a little bit lower calorie. Over time, start transitioning that lower calorie food that still might not be that good for you, like a Big Mac without sauce is lower calorie than a Big Mac with sauce, but the sauceless Big Mac still isn't good for you. It's still fucking McDonald's. We still know that it's horseshit. Let yourself wean off of it like a drug. Let yourself slowly start coming off of it. And then over time, eat a little less McDonald's. And then, now I'm cooking a little bit more at home and preparing my food. And now I'm actually realizing that there's ways that I could cook at home that are actually cheaper than me getting Big Macs every day, that actually take less time because I can cook it and prepare it in a way that is faster than me driving to McDonald's and waiting in the drive-thru and then stopping in the car and eating. You will get there. Let yourself go through the full process. What can you do to make the food that you're eating now 10% lower calorie? Take the sauce and the cheese off the Big Mac. Get a grilled chicken sandwich instead of a crispy one. Get a small fry or a medium fry instead of a large one. Over time, substitute it for 1 or 2 sides of fruit or a little side salad if you want something like that. The idea is to swap foods that don't sacrifice so much flavor that you can't bear them. The best one is oil for water. Don't cook in oil if you want to lose weight. The second best one is ice cream for homemade ice cream, Greek yogurt. The third one is soda for soda water with a lime or a lemon. If you just made those 3 swaps, if you eat all of those 3 things in excess right now and you make those 3 swaps, I promise you, you will lose weight and you will feel a lot better. There's no world where you don't feel a lot better if you make those 3 swaps, not just because you'll lose weight, but because those foods are just not good for you. Because those foods have a really negative impact on your body, on your hormones, on your stress, on your happiness levels, your cortisol, your sleep. It's not all just about losing weight. You will feel better when you lose weight, but you will also feel better when you just eat less bullshit foods. So these things are very closely tied to each other. Going from Domino's to low-calorie, high-protein pizza is still bullshit food. You'll feel better from losing weight, but you're not going to feel better because the ingredients of the pizza are better. It's still probably horse shit. Transition to real foods over time, but start with some low-calorie swaps to see some results, and allow yourself to make mistakes and try new things. If you made it to the end of the podcast, I greatly appreciate you being here, and we will see you next Wednesday.